To the Java playlist. This video, we're going to be going over the while loop. The while loop is a control structure that is basically a part of a program, like a block of code that repeats itself a certain amount of times. You give it a condition for how much, how long, or how often you want it to repeat. It can be infinite. It can be until a sentinel value, like a closing value, is entered, and then um, it exits out of that loop. So I'll show you how it's done. Uh, it's easier to show rather than explain. But first thing we're going to do is we are going to start with a variable. We're going to have an integer, and we're going to basically recap on what we did last time, which is using the incrementer. We'll actually make it a bit longer. So a while loop starts by just declaring a while, and inside the brackets, you're going to basically enter what you want, um, like how many times you want this block of code to enter to execute. So we've declared a variable num, and we're going to give it a condition. So while num is less than or equal to 10, sorry, we're gonna start this off at 1. Um, we're gonna end basically do whatever in this loop. So we'll get a bit more creative than just printing out something. So if num modulus 2 equals 0, then we're going to print out number system dot out dot print line. This number is even. So if you remember, the modulus is it's dividing it by whatever the modulus is. So when you're dividing something by 2, if the remainder, which is what it's calculating, the remainder is 0, it's an even number. And now we can have else system dot out dot print line the number this number is odd. And what we can do here is just kind of give a prompt as to what's happening, and we'll just print out the num. And so after it's gone through the block of code, how is it going to know that it needs to repeat itself? Well, what's going to happen is you're going to increment it. So you're going to, at the bottom here, write num plus plus, and it's going to enter this loop as num1. So num is less than or equal to 10. It's going to execute this block of code, and then it's going to update, or it's going to increment by 1. So what does that mean? So it's going to come back to the top here, and it's going to equal 2. So 2 is less than or equal to 10, so it's going to do that again, and then it's going to keep coming back until it goes to 10, and then once it hits 10, it's going to execute it, and then it's going to stop. And just to show that that is what happens, we are out of the while loop. So let's give it a try here. So as you can see, we'll just move this up a bit. It enters the loop as 1. It does if num modulus 2 equals 0. It doesn't. So else this number is odd. this number is even, this number is odd, this number is even, blah, 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 until it gets to 10, and then it exits the while loop here, and now we're just back into the main method, and it prints out the uh, print line here to show that we're outside of the while loop. So the while loop is quite useful for a number of reasons. You can use it to execute um, code that you want to continue. You can sort of uh, give a while loop a almost infinite. Uh, so if say while true or something, this is going to execute into perpetuity, and it won't exit unless you set uh, whatever variable this is to false. So you can have checks inside here, and it will execute as long as, so if you have user input or something, say you're in a game and it's this is a pretty crappy example, but say you're in a game and like the game keeps running and stuff until there's some user input or whatever that sets it to false, like hitting an exit button. The exit button will set to false, and you'll exit out of that loop, and the game will end. But yeah, that's just one random example, and we'll be doing a lot more on loops. So I hope that was helpful. If it is, I'm glad. Again, I seem to be uh, reiterating this every couple of videos, but these aren't professional teaching videos. Uh, just mainly for coworkers, myself, maybe potential employers, to show that either I have a grip on some of these concepts, but yeah, I hope it helps, and uh, thanks for watching.